The Menopause Dialogue. Hashtag you and me. Sharing, living, loving freely.
Hi, I'm Shay, and welcome to Menopause, the Dialogue. We have a year-long show where we stream live on YouTube, and we are asking you to embark with us on the journey of a menopausal woman. And our mission is to help to educate you, empower you, and give you the practical tools to help you to understand and also to take charge of this menopausal experience.
We stream live on the second and fourth Monday of every month beginning 6 p.m. sharp. So ladies, we're asking you to set your reminders. Help us by sending out the flyers as well, because as long as you are a female and you reach that milestone of 40, you are going to need this information, and we have not been doing a very good job of making sure the next generation of women are prepared for menopause. So we're inviting you at 6 p.m. every other Monday to join us live here on YouTube as we talk about the menopausal journey. And we're asking you also to share. Please take a moment. For those of you right now, take a moment. There is a sister who needs this information that you would be able to help, and just let them know Menopause, the Dialogue is on. Now, menopause in itself is a challenge. Having an open and honest discussion about unexpected sexual symptoms for many women can be daunting, it can be frustrating, and it's so unexplained. Many women initially go into menopause, and because they don't understand what's going on, it can be very confusing and overwhelming. And she will not understand what's going on, and it's even compounded and worse when her mate also is as uninformed as she is about what's happening with her, even as far as the sexual aspect of her as a woman is concerned.
Yeah. And when it comes to the sexual symptoms, they can vary from woman to woman, really.
Yeah.
It's just that you want to be honest and open with what's actually happening with you, so you can actually get help with the questions that you ask to actually make the whole experience a whole lot easier. And today, that's what we're attempting to do, to make that experience a whole lot easier. We're going to share about sex, sexuality, and menopause, the physical side as well as the emotional side.
Yes, and relational.
Yes, and relational. We won't forget that.
Yes, so we want to say hello to everyone who is joining us. And if I'm correct, let me tell you, I've been fussed to put on the glasses.
Yeah, that's Rosemary Dean.
Hi, Rosemary Dean. I was going to say DeQuesta Dean. That's why I decided to put on the glasses.
Yeah, good for you.
Really
I am so excited about you. And you decide, because this is your birthday week, right? You're going to wear the glasses. Yay!
So we want to say hello to all who are joining us live here.
Mia is even joining us live as well. Thank you so much, Mia. That is my gorgeous niece.
Yes, that's Mommy's baby girl.
Yes.
We want to say thank you to all of you. And once again, we have the famous fishbowl, where every week we go into the fishbowl and we dig out questions that we have been asked, persons have asked us, and so we are addressing it. And today, as Shay said, we're talking about menopause and sex. And the first question, Shay, I want to pull. It says, from out of the fishbowl, it says, what is vaginal atrophy?
Good question. Thank you so much. We appreciate these questions so much because they actually come from you guys. And, just like Patrice and I, whenever we're sharing on this platform, one of the things is we really want to hear from you and what you're thinking, what you want to know, and that's why we're here. So when we look at vaginal atrophy, it is like a thinning of the wall of the vagina. It's that dryness. It's also inflammation in the vagina. But particularly atrophy comes from, again, what we're talking about, the onset of menopause. And this is one of those things that actually happen when you are approaching, whether it's perimenopause or menopause. And you know, Patrice, that reminds me of something. We were talking earlier, and you started to share a story about someone that called you from the island was having some difficulty.
Yes, and yeah, let me just share this story.
Okay.
There are so many things that women deal with when it comes to menopause and sex. I got a call, and this lady was dealing with infection because she has been going through menopause. Initially, she didn't know what it was all about, and she went to the doctor about a year ago, and they had said that, you know, it was an infection, a urinary tract infection. But what has happened recently, she said it came back, and her husband, she ended up passing on an infection to her husband. And her husband, I thought it was also a beautiful story, because not only did she have the infection and pass it on to her husband understood that she had not stepped out of the marriage.
Ah, that's important.
Listen, that story was something. He understood that she had not stepped out of the marriage, and that he also didn't. So he recognized something was wrong. And they discussed it, and he spoke to her about finding out what was wrong. And one of the reasons she called me was to help her find out what was going on. And infection in menopause, Shay. Let's talk about that, because that's real.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Thank you so much, Patrice. That is so real. Now, when we think about vaginal infections, for the most part, it looks different when it comes to the menopausal woman, because the decline in estrogen can cause our vagina to be compromised. And believe it or not, when it comes to the pH balance of a female, the vagina is actually the only area that is supposed to be considered to be acid. And so you do not want to alkaline that area. But when we are addressing, Patrice, particularly infections of the vaginal wall, when you're going through menopause, it has to be treated slightly different. Unlike if you're treating a urinary tract infection or an STD, sexually transmitted disease, it has to be treated differently. And the reason for that is because the reason for the infection is a natural process that the woman goes through when the vaginal wall starts to thinning. And because the wall starts to thinning, you are susceptible to infections very easily.
Yes, and even as her walls thin, one of the things we learn about the vagina is that not only is the skin thin, but it's also stretchy, like elastic. It's very stretchy, because that's how we have kids. And because the environment of the vagina, when we can easily, because of the hormonal changes, there's an imbalance, like you said, the pH and bacteria. The good bacteria, there can be an imbalance of the bacteria. And so sometimes women see discharges more than they normally would see. And there's a number of different types, in fact, I've learned, of discharges and vaginal infections that women have.
That's called bacterial vaginosis.
Yes.
And
that's
so,
another one.
That is when you have more or too much of one type of bacteria in the vagina walls. And what happens is that gives you what they refer to as bacterial vaginosis. And that is really an imbalance of the vaginal wall. And sometimes when you look at this particular bacterial infection, what happens is we come from an environment where the minute we feel like something is not correct in the vaginal wall, or we start to have some discomfort, we sometimes lean to things like douching. And you know, douching is one of those things you do not want to do whenever there's an infection. One of the things I recommend right away is to start to address your diet, because when you look at all of these different types of infection, even the UTI, even vaginitis, right, which is also inflammation of the vaginal wall.
All of them.
All of these, but the thing is this, what they all have in common is this. They actually are systemic, from the wall, the vaginal wall being thin during menopause. So you do not treat it any different, or you treat it completely different as if you were having traditional or regular symptoms. Now, when it comes to these type of symptoms, you do not want to look for the traditional antibiotics. You don't want to go that route. What you want to do is you start to treat with long-term solutions like diet, adding in superfoods into your diet.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of these are important. Also, what I've learned is what you put there in that area. We use the tissue, as simple as the tissue we use.
Yes.
A lot of the tissue has fragrance in it.
Perfumes.
You do not need to put fragrance tissue there. You need to stay away from anything that's talking. The pads that you use needs to be 100% cotton. The towels that we use. Many times what we use, what we wash our towels in.
The clothing, the detergent,
the pads, everything. At this point, and I spoke to a group of women last Saturday, and one of the things I talked about, because we are so sensitive down there, it is important what we do. And as simple as the detergent you are using with your clothes,
washing detergent,
everything.
You want to definitely look at, if we start from, if we just look at, let's look at the outer stuff that we can do. If we look at the type of detergent that we're using, one of the things I always subscribe to is you want to use detergent that are dye-free. Okay, so our producer is asking us to go to a break. We're going to deal with a little mild difficulty. We're going to go to a break, and we will be right back. Okay. You sensitive? Yeah. I'm allowed you to be that because it is your birthday this week.
Okay. So you're from Andros, you know.
See, I'm an Andros girl, Long Bay Keys, South Andros. See, proud.
Crab catching.
That's okay. Crab catching, coconut tree climbing. All of the above. I'm from Andros girl. So once our producer give us the go ahead that
so
you can
we're
hear
good?
us. Okay, Yvette said yes, you can hear us. Thank you so much, Yvette Ferguson, for joining us on YouTube, and Mia, all the whole crew. Thank you guys so much for sticking and staying. So as we were talking about when it comes to infections, particularly vaginal infections. So first, we definitely want to look at vaginal infections differently if you are a menopausal woman, because when the body is going through its decline in estrogen, your infections are treated a whole lot differently. So you want to treat infections differently. This is definitely the type of infections you do not want to treat with antibiotic. You want to treat them with two ways, internal as well as external. And basically you want to start off with your diet. And one of the things I would tell you right away is you want to add in a good strain of natural probiotics through your foods, and that looks like first of all, flax seeds. You definitely want to add in also a good strain of Greek yogurt, all of those fermented kimchi, quinoa, kimchi. We're talking about products. I said quinoa. I don't know what that was about. Kombucha, kefir. We're talking about
the German pronunciations of the fermented foods.
Yes, I love that, the German. We're talking about foods that are fermented. These are foods that will help you internally to deal with those type of infections. Also, when we look at those types of foods, fermented foods, you also want to look at superfoods, things like curcumin, turmeric, even garlic are good source of foods to help you to fight off infections internally. Now, when it comes to the external part as well,
and can I say the black cohosh?
Yes, black cohosh is that will help more with
estrogen.
It'll help more with the estrogen balance, but not necessarily the lining on the wall.
Right.
You want to feed more of the pH balance of the vaginal wall.
Right, and because the thing also is that when these foods help boost the estrogen in the body naturally, and once the body's estrogen is boosted naturally, then a lot of this, even with the lining, it helps as well. Because us menopausal women, we have to learn.
We think it, right?
Yeah, because when you want to do it naturally, and you want your body to perform for you during and after menopause. So you don't want, honestly, like for myself, I don't want to be taking a bunch of chemicals that I have to deal with side effects with. So understanding my body naturally and taking these stuff has helped me to bring the balance that my body needs, so that, you know, because it could get pretty crazy.
And I'm glad you said that, Patrice, because the reason why we were kind of honing into particular supplements and things to do is because the fact is this journey is a tedious journey, it's a long journey, and it's a process. And sometimes people become a little bit overwhelmed when we talk about too many things they have to add into their foods in terms of changes, right? So even though when we talk about diet, particularly, you definitely want to make your diet look a whole lot differently. But as we talk specifically about vaginal infections, these superfoods will kind of narrow it right in, and to help the pH and the vagina to stay acid, and to help you really to start to feel better, and to help some of that discomfort and that pain, because vaginal vaginitis, all of these different types of infection, even the UTI, it can cause pain during sex. And sometimes you have even a decrease in libido. You have women, are complaining, husbands are complaining about some of the effect. And men, I want to speak to you. When you see a female is actually talking about having an infection when it comes to the vaginal wall, this is a real thing that happens naturally, and in most cases, not all, it's not associated with any sexually transmitted disease. It has to do with the thinning and the dryness and the inflammation that the vaginal wall experiences when you're going through menopause. And while this is a real thing, one of the things I can tell you is the emotional side of that. And Patrice's story you shared with the husband kind of understanding, even though he didn't know all the details.
That touched me.
Yes, he didn't know all the details.
That really touched me. And Shay, while you were talking, and you were talking about some of the things that can happen as far as keeping the vaginal, the pH balance wall, the pH balance of the vaginal wall balance. Also, a lot of us women, when it comes to urinating, we like to hold in our urine. Listen. Guilty. The more you hold it in, the more acidic when it comes out is acidic. All of these things we need to really get a handle on and become more disciplined in. You drinking a lot of water.
Yes, listen, your diet, Patrice, I know we say it right, but when you're going through menopause, especially if you develop a vaginal infection, your diet plays a pivotal role.
Huge.
And this is the time when I refer to as loading, where you could do your superfoods. You could do those specific foods we talked about, those foods that are fermented. You can do them in higher doses, because what you're doing is you're reversing that condition, and it's going to be a long-term journey, but I promise you it's going to get less painful. The symptoms are going to subside, and as you continue to talk to your partner and to be able to give him information, he understands that this is a process because the vaginal wall is changing. And Patrice, there are also some external stuff.
Okay. Before I say that, can we just repeat it, because I saw more persons come on, because we're talking about food. So we talk about the kimchi,
the fermented foods,
the sesame seeds, the flax seeds,
sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, tofu, tempeh.
That's it, the black cohosh, turmeric. All of these are the things that you can do now to help yourself, to help your estrogen become more balanced. Because when you help your estrogen become balanced, then all of these symptoms of the estrogen now will start to minimize. And because the estrogen and the progesterone, they're the sex hormones, but the estrogen is responsible for our sex characteristics as well as fertility, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And then the progesterone is pregnancy and menstruation.
Yes.
And so when we understand the role of these hormones and what they do, then we can identify if we're dealing with this issue, then, oh, it's my estrogen, then I need to eat some foods, a lot of foods that help boost my estrogen. And, we help ourselves. And then, like you were saying, the other aspect external.
External.
There's so many external things that we can do. Many women don't recognize the tissue, as simple as the tissue that we use.
Yeah.
Everything should be natural. You should not be using these scented tissues.
Yeah.
Again, the vaginal
With the
wall.
lotion and all that. Let's elaborate on that even more,
Yes,
because
okay.
we're using tissue to wipe these areas. And I know we don't think about it, women, but they make a difference, especially when the vaginal wall is thinning and it's really compromised. You don't want to use the, I don't want to call any brands here, right? But you don't want to use a perfume tissue that has lotion and it smells like daisies.
Toxins.
You do not want to use these types. Sometimes even before we think about the toxins first, a lot of people think they want scented tissue in their bathroom. Ladies, let me speak to you. If you are experiencing any of these infections, reoccurring infections, and you can't quite figure them out, and you are considered perimenopause, the onset of menopause, you want to closely look at whatever you use to wipe there, to put there, all of the above. And so tissue is a major factor, even when you start to talk about the sanitary napkins as well, Patrice.
That's right, the 100% cotton sanitary napkins. You don't need anything that's bleached, because our tissue, bleached, the majority of sanitary napkins, unless it says organic, they're bleached.
Yes.
They have toxins. And the last thing you need is to be putting these products that cause inflammation, infection, irritation in an area that is so compromised.
Right.
Again, the walls of the vaginal are very thin, and so we allow this stuff has access to our bodies, and then we're wondering why we have infections. Even as simple as the detergents you use, that you use to wash your undergarments, and the towels, the soaps.
Even
Can I say
even
the soaps?
I know the soaps, right?
Yeah.
We put all the perfume soaps down there. Listen, we really need to pay. What Patrice and I are saying today is we have to pay closer attention to what we're using topically, because it does make a huge difference. I know sometimes we don't think about it, the little details, but that's what this show is all about, helping you to empower yourself and to talk to you about these little details. Because Patrice and I can tell you, we ain't just telling you these stuff, honey. We're doing it,
living
and
them.
we are making a difference, and we're seeing and we're feeling a difference. So we're sharing a lot of the things that Patrice and I are doing. Even when we talk about detergents, let me tell you one of my go-to things. I don't often look at brands of detergent. What I look for is a detergent that has a clear color, that doesn't, if it's any other color besides clear that I can see through it, I'm not even going to get it. Right down to my dishwashing liquid or my fabric clothing liquid that I wash my clothes with. And particularly if you're washing your undergarments in there, again, you are putting yourself at risk to increase any of those vaginal infections. Another thing, Patrice, that I like is garlic. Garlic is one of those go-to foods that it's a pre and a probiotic food. It acts like a natural antibiotic. And listen, if you find yourself, I've even at one point in time encouraged a female to actually use it as a suppository at nighttime, using the garlic into her cotton, 100% cotton tampons, as a part of a vaginal bolus. Because she had extreme itching, and her spouse and her complained about the painful sex constantly, and so their sex life was being affected. So there are natural ways. But when you talk about treating infections when you're going through menopause, you definitely want to treat it naturally, whether it's internally or externally, because it's for the long-term haul. You don't want to treat it the same old, same old.
Yes, and then another simple one, I can vouch by this, coconut oil.
Yes, girl, preach.
You have got an infection, 100% organic, clean coconut oil, I promise you. And one of the things I said to the ladies on Saturday gone was that, see, God knew about all of this.
Yes, He did.
And He gave us the things that we need to deal with the problems that, all of the questions and all of the problems that we have, He has given us answers and solutions. And sometimes we're looking for it to be so difficult.
When it's the most
when it's the most simple things. And I have proven that on this menopause journey.
Yes,
Because
Candy,
for the
preach.
first 8 years of my menopausal journey, I didn't know.
Wait, Patrice.
Perimenopausal.
Yeah. You shouldn't even say 8 years, because for anyone who's joining us for the first time, you shocked them to pieces just now for the first 8 years
Of my perimenopausal journey.
I
Yes.
know, right?
Yeah, for the first 8 years, I didn't know what was going on. And I always, if you watch the other videos, I shared with how my good sister-in-law at 3-something in the night.
Listen.
And I thought I was dying of a heart attack, said to me, I don't know why you don't accept the fact that you're perimenopausal.
She's like, no,
That's old people.
That's old people. And she rebuked and she pulled down them strongholds. But at the end of the day, yep, she was perimenopause.
But when I accepted it,
Yes.
I accepted that fact. I began my own journey of learning. I mean, intense. I already understand a lot about the body, but the menopausal part of it, I did not have down pat.
Yeah.
Once I understood what
What was
my body
happening.
needed and what was going on, I was able to help myself. And
Yes.
like I've said a number of times, we use natural means,
Everything else.
and I'm alive.
Hey.
I'm
We're
alive.
still having hot flashes every now and again on set, yeah, but
Talk to
we're
yourself.
good.
I'm sure she had a hot
We're
flash.
good. But you know what, Patrice, before you go into the fishbowl, again,
Uh-huh.
I just want to really reiterate, because both Patrice and I have had experiences where husbands are concerned
Yeah.
about a lot of these issues. Sometimes they feel like, I've even had a husband say to me, they think that their wife was faking, not wanting to, have sexual intercourse. And let me tell you something, I don't know about that particular wife, right? And I'm not saying everything is absolute and 100%, but what we are saying is that this is a real thing.
Yes.
And when you have the thinning of the vaginal wall and you have inflammation, it's like that area is inflamed. Sex can be extremely painful. It's almost like you're the virgin again.
Yes.
You're extremely painful and discomforting, and it is very difficult to get a woman to be aroused when she is in so much pain. So
Yes.
really, guys, I just want to say it really ain't have nothing to do with you. She ain't cheating on you, and she does love you, but what she's experiencing is very, very real, and that's where she needs your continued support, not just physically but emotionally, because this is a real journey. And for some women, these infections can last a very, very long time if they are not taking it and doing all of the necessary precautions, just like Patrice and I just talked about, in terms of loading and really honing and focusing on your diet, whether it's the internal and doing the external stuff as well.
Yes, and you're right with the men, because when I did a kind of survey with a group of friends, when I really got into learning about menopause, one of the things that one lady was saying, her husband thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
I got all kind of comments about what men were saying about women and this menopausal journey. Shay and I know, we even at the initial, a few months back, we had a gentleman who, his family was wrecked because his wife was menopausal and he didn't know.
Yeah.
And he was upset. He wished someone had said something so that he could know. And so again, we're saying to every woman watching, we want to do it differently this time.
We have
The
to
older
share.
women have not been sharing like they should.
Right.
And so a lot of the things that are happening can be helped. The blow can be cushioned as far as menopause is concerned. So the more we share, the more we talk about it, it's not a taboo, it's not a secret. As long as you hit 40, sister,
welcome.
Sister, it's not the devil.
Don't rebuke it. Don't pull down those strongholds.
It is called a natural process called menopause. And the more you are prepared, the more you can help yourself. Now, let's go. I pulled out the second question.
You know what? I just want to share a little bit about the survey, because you just mentioned what men want to know.
Yes.
And it is, it's just one of those things that men want to know. And so here's the question that what men want to know. What part of a woman's breast is most sensitive? Believe it or not, men want to know this question. Now, let me tell you, this is actually clinical, and so it's important because I'm gonna tell you this too. I just, not as recent, but I just recently learned this about 3-4 years ago, that yes, a lot of us think that the nipples is the most sensitive part of the woman's breast. So here's some clinical research to look at. So when it comes to this research, clinical studies found that the skin around the superior quadrant was the most sensitive part of the breast. That's right. The areola was less sensitive, and the nipples was the least sensitive part. Is that news, Patrice?
Interesting.
Yeah. The nipples was the least sensitive part. And I know, listen men, I know when it comes to sex, if you want to arouse the female in your life, your wife, stay away from them nipples. Because it ain't as sensitive as you think it is. Yeah, go around the quadrant. You see, and this is clinical research because that is actually the area that is sensitive, that actually helps her to get in the mood, and that helps you to get sex a whole lot quicker. I just wanted to throw that out there.
And also, there are a number of things that happen with the breast during menopause.
Yes.
Like we're talking like the flattening of the breast.
That's the question right there.
Yeah, because I thought you just skipped right into it.
I know, right? So that's the question, yes. How could menopause affect the breast? Yes.
Got it, yeah.
My God, Ms. Reed. I like how you start the flattening.
Yeah.
Patrice is being conservative, right? The other day, this young lady said, oh, my breast starting to droop. And I said, let's look for some different choice of words, please. Because I'm really sensitive at this moment. And so I like the terminology flattening. And so this is one of the things that actually happen when you start to go through menopause.
The appearance of your breast changes.
Yeah, it changes. And it becomes lumpy. It just looks dimply, almost cottage cheese-like. And listen, Patrice,
listen,
share some of your story, girl. Share some of your story. I don't have flash out of it.
First of all, this is my disclaimer.
Yeah. You talking about the other girl.
I'm not talking about me now, but I do my disclaimer first.
Okay.
I care a lot about how I look. And I, as a woman, want to get married. And I have decided I am not going to be long and droopy, fat.
Well, this is a disclaimer, boy. She has decided, people.
Okay, and there's some things I have just decided that I don't want. And one of them, a real issue, has been my breast. Now, I'm a small-chested woman, naturally, and I breastfed my children. Now, menopause has been a new experience that I didn't even understand. And one of the things I have done, and I can tell you that works, there are two things that I've done to help my breast. One, oils. I have an oil combination that I use. And I massage my breast. And I do, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I do what I must, ladies. Listen here. And I guarantee you, I didn't know, it really does help to cause the breast to plump out.
Yes,
to appear more full. Then I do the exercises. Let me tell you something.
So show us some of them exercises. Come on.
Yeah,
we on camera, we live. Before I have a hot flash. Hold on.
Let me tell you
Go
something.
ahead, show us one of them exercises.
Okay. When you want to lift the breast, that's what I do every day.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
Is there a version that for your hips? Anyway, let's stay focused.
Okay, that's one of them, and it lifts, and I'm telling you, that's the other one I do
don't hit
on a daily basis. And there's so many things, and then there's one like this. And
do you do them with weights or without weights?
Without weights. Let me tell you something. I remember the first time I did it. I was like, you doubt this stuff. Now, really, can a breast expand or grow or become more fuller? We've been taught no. But when you begin to analyze, okay, Shay's having
I'm having a hot flash.
I'm not going to talk about hot flash right now.
But hold on, stay focused. Stay focused for
But literally, I remember when I saw and I saw my bust pulling out, I was like, it really works.
I remember when you called me on the phone. phone. Patrice called me on the phone, people, and she said,
I tell her everything.
She said, this working. I said, what's working? You know the stuff that I'm doing. And so, but Patrice, let me tell you what I liked most about what you was doing. You stayed consistent. To the exercising.
This is another year.
Thank you so much.
And I can tell you, women, it works. And if you need, let me give you my number. My number may be on the screen, 439-3242, and I will help you with the oils. I have a combination of oil.
Yeah, oils. Talk a little bit about that oils, Patrice.
Okay, because there's a combination of oils, natural oils that I use that is responsible for helping estrogen production in the breast.
Oh my goodness, look to the camera and let them hear that.
Listen here, for me, I always believe if there's a problem, there is an answer.
Yeah, I believe that as
Do
well.
not tell me there is no answer and I sit down and I have to accept it. No. I am living example and proof that it works. And not only that, I remember right after, at the beginning of the year, we go on our fast. I went on my fast.
Yeah, I remember you called me.
I was like, Jesus, this ain't fair. All I work for about 6 months consistently. But I'm back on track. But I promise you, it works.
Right.
The look is different. It's fuller. And so I've decided by the end of this year, none of you are going to be able to talk to me.
Listen, hold on, let me ask you something. So the oil that you talked about, right? So you're applying this oil on the breast.
I massage my...
Hold on, you look at your...
It is hot.
I
think it's just hot.
I think it's...
I'm not having a hot flash.
Well, I know.
See, misery likes company.
Oh, okay. Fine.
But
Okay,
I can tell you the oils. There's 2 combinations. The first one I use, and it's a clockwise. You do it clockwise.
The motion, right.
Your breast can lift. They can naturally lift and they can naturally full up. When we go for menopause, because honestly, breasts tend to come lower. They go south, more south. And you have to deal with that. And now for some people that's fine, but for me,
that's not fine.
No. And so I'm a living example.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of oil combinations that I use.
That's in this one formula, right?
That's in this one formula. And then even for the firming of the skin afterwards.
Right.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
See, let me tell you what I like that Patrice did. When Patrice was calling me, she stayed consistent. Let me tell you, this menopausal journey, when Patrice and I are talking about what we're doing ourselves, let me tell you what is so important, the consistency of doing it. Listen, don't come and get some oil from Patrice and then say, I used it for 2 weeks and I didn't see nothing happen. You have to make whatever it is that you're doing a part of your skin or your menopause regimen in order to see the effectiveness. I can tell you, because I know Patrice for a little while, and when she walked in, just her walking up here like this. I was like, girl, put your chest down. She just wanted me to see all of what was working and how she was doing, but it really, really worked. I was like, Patrice, that's all you? Sure enough, it was all her. So we're sharing our stories. We're being transparent because the fact is, your breast does change when you're going through menopause. And just like Patrice said, a lot of women, see, I'm going to take it a step further. Patrice said she likes to look good. I like to look good with clothes on and with clothes off. Because you all know as women, we could spice everything. And so the fact is, you want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel good.
Emotionally, psychologically, you want to feel good.
You want to feel good. And it doesn't matter if you are in your 50s. Because I'm going to tell you, honey, 50s, honey, when it comes to 50s, honey, this is the new 40s. And so Patrice and I, y'all see, we took our own on right now. We're doing it well. And so as we continue to talk more and more about what we experience, we want to continue to share it with you. We have another few questions from the fishbowl, but we're about to go to a break. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're asking you to stay tuned with us. We're not going to be long, and we'll join us back just a few minutes with another set of fishbowl questions. So we'll see you after the break.
Are you a mature woman? Do you think you could be perimenopausal and experiencing so many changes on your period? Like longer cycles, heavier bleeding, vaginal dryness, and even a strange odor at times? Well, we're asking you to make the switch and experience the difference with our 100% organic, sanitary napkins with ultra soft cotton surfaces that is toxic free, fragrance free, bleach free, and eliminate odors. Experience your period in a whole new all natural comfort. So if you are a mature woman and could be starting perimenopause, make the switch and your body will thank you. Period.
Your health is your wealth. Protect it. Ladies, your sanitary napkins should be 100% organic cotton, unscented and fragrance free, unbleached and chlorine free, free of pesticide residue, safe for you and the planet. If your sanitary napkins does not make the grade, it does not deserve to be where you place it. Make the switch.
Just so you all know, in the studio, we also are celebrating my girl, my friend, Patrice. It's her birthday week.
It's my party.
Yeah, laugh if I want to.
I will not
laugh
cry.
if I want to. You will laugh too. Yeah, it happened to you.
It's my, and I am 21.
Oh no, we got cake up in here, right?
Hey.
We got all kind of cake. And our producer leaving early and she wouldn't even get none.
I will eat her share.
I know, right?
Listen
No,
here,
you should see my on our faces now.
you know my issue with sweet, so listen here.
But you're sweet anyway, girlfriend.
Oh.
But Patrice, let me just say, on camera, live, on air, I want you to say you are the best looking, fit 21-year-old I know on this side.
You see why she is my friend? Because I don't have to pay her to tell me.
Happy birthday, darling. And you look so lovely. Happy birthday.
Thank you. God has been good. I will say,
Yes, he is. Huh?
I am so grateful to be alive.
Yes.
So I take, even with menopause, the dialogue.
Yes. Oh
My
God.
heart, along with yours, is I want to share with other women. I want to, however I can help
Yes.
and make a difference, I want to. So I thank you, all of you, for the opportunity just to serve you as you tune in. My prayer is that you learn and you grow as you join us in this dialogue. So thank you. I am 21. I am not 50-something. I'm 21.
Well, she said she isn't 50-something. You see how you just spill out the beans and don't even mention the word 50. So when is our next set of shows, Patrice? When do our next set of shows? On the what day? When is our next show? The second and
the second and the fourth Monday of May. Wow, we're going.
So May 10th, right? May 10th will be our next show. May 10th, right? When is Mother's Day? When is
It's
Mother's
the
Day?
9th.
It's the
Right.
9th. Okay.
So the next day is
Right.
the 10th. That's when our next show is.
Yes.
And we invite you to join us. We're going to be sending out the flyer with our next topic. And if you have a topic you would like us to discuss, please send it in. Let us know what you are interested in. If you want to leave it in the comment, or if you want to, even afterwards you're watching it, send us a note. And our goal is this is a year-long dialogue. So we are going to be talking about all of the issues that are related to menopause. Now, I just picked out the question out of the fishbowl.
What's that?
Drum roll.
Dun, 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 dun.
Why does my spouse not get turned on anymore? Shay, you had this question.
Yes. I certainly
Please tell us
do.
about
Yes.
what you got from this.
So let me tell you, while men say women are sensitive, I think when it comes to the sexual aspect of a relationship, men are extremely sensitive. And that's all right. Because their ego is at stake whenever there's any type of time when they feel like they're being rejected from their mate. And what happens during menopause, as women, we are dealing with so much physical issues as well as emotional issues. When you look at the physical aspects, our thyroid is affected. All of our sex hormones are affected. When we think of the contribution of the decline in estrogen and progesterone, this actually decreases our sexual drive. It decreases the opportunity to be aroused very easily. And also sometimes women are also even dealing with emotional issues. Some women are dealing with triggers from sexual abuse. Women are going through a lot. And so, men, I want to say to you, don't take it personally, because it is real. Women are experiencing these issues, and that decline is the onset of why a woman tends to not be turned on and be aroused as easy. And even when we talk about the physical side, there is even a larger picture when you look at the emotional side.
And I wanted to just, because this is something I learned, and this helped me, and for me, pictures work for me.
Right.
One of the things that men and women need to understand about this low sex drive, low libido, here's what happens to a woman. When we have a period, every month when we have a period, because our estrogen is working, it peaks, it goes up. Every time it goes up. And that's why during those times, you know, you feel sexy.
I didn't even understand it. Look at you, you said sexy.
We feel, I won't use the other word, we feel.
What's the other word we
The
feel?
H word.
Oh,
You know.
happy.
Okay. But we feel it, and that's because, again, the estrogen is it's responsible for the sex characteristics when it comes to us as women. And so when we ovulate, it goes up, it peaks, and the
Happier we become.
when those hormones, when those ovaries.
That's when we running behind y'all. Y'all know that.
That's it. Now and then, of course, it goes down. You know, after the period, etc.
Right.
And so, but at this point, the estrogen is working properly.
Right.
Now, when we do going through menopause, now of course, this
There's a natural decline.
this happy hormone is not so happy, and so we're not experiencing for some, and there are not every woman.
Yeah, some women have the opposite.
That's it.
Symptom.
Some women are the opposite. They are busy.
You know what, Patrice? Listen. I'ma just say, okay. Here's my disclaimer. Okay, so you're right. Because when we tie it into the estrogen, so the men that are listening, they understand that the women are just not pretending like, no.
This is
physiological,
physiological, this is physical, this is emotional.
This happens naturally.
Yes.
But the flip side to that is some women, I just happen to be one of them women, it's the opposite. All you want is happy. That's all you want. You just want to be happy.
I think I'm that way too. Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy. So,
I always
for the
say,
women that are single, we are going to gather and pray. Let us pray. So Patrice and I simply say, you know how you have some rare cases? You know, like it's almost like a pregnancy. You know how you have rare cases that when you become pregnant for your husband, the husband has the symptoms and you don't have the symptoms. That's just the same thing when it comes to menopause. There are a few women, even though the estrogen, yes, is on a decline, sometimes the vaginal wall is not as thin. And if they are eating well, there's no inflammation in there. And so, listen, they ready to be happy all day. Like happy.
And it's real. It is real. And that's why we say, you also, on your menopausal, perimenopausal, and menopausal journey, you have a role to play in it.
Yes.
It does not have to be unhappy. It does not have to be unhealthy. Now, yes, we deal with stuff, because for me it was real, the heart palpitations, the thyroid issues, the sleeplessness, and finding my way through it. It wasn't easy. I will not lie to you. Only the grace of God. I am still here and I made it. But we can help ourselves, and when we understand, and both for the male and female, when we understand what's going on, it makes life much easier. And when a couple can hold the next one's hand and say, okay, I understand what you're going through, how can I help? Or, and we can be creative. You and your husband, you can be creative at this time, because this is a natural process, and if you have to go through it, why not learn and go through it together?
Yeah, and even if the husband doesn't understand, the important thing is to support, because sometimes the men don't want all the details. You all know men don't want all the details, women, but it's important that the men are there to support. Let me tell you, in addition to all of the symptoms that we're describing, some women even go through depression, anxiety. Some women, they feel hopeless. The other day I went to take some supplements to one of my clients. Her exact words is, "Shay, I feel like I'm losing my mind." This is so real.
Just had that
when someone
Saturday
says they feel like they're losing their mind, it is
going crazy.
What is happening is it's unexplainable to them, and when they can't put a word to it or a description to what is happening, it feels like they are losing their mind. And more than anything else, as a male, I know sometimes our ego as males, your ego, your ego, sometimes get in the way of thinking it has something to do with them not wanting to be with you. Outside of the traditional stuff that is going on in a relationship, this is a real thing, man. And women, they don't want to not give themselves to you. It is difficult. They're dealing with the physical part, and sometimes the emotional part can just really take over.
And you know what, with the physical part, let me break that down to you. As a woman, she is feeling when you have been one weight all the time, and then you're bigger. You're trying to.
You got pimples.
Yes, you're dealing with pimples. You're dealing with the dryness of the skin. You're dealing with this vaginal issues that you never had. There's so many changes, and a woman ends up. You go through a lot of it mentally. You're not looking like you used to. You're not feeling attractive like you used to. You're getting wrinkles. You're dealing with these mood switches and changes, and you're trying to.
You just brought that all into life.
There is so much going on. And the problem is, so many women, because they are not prepared for what's happening, they can't put a finger on what's happening. They can't identify. And I just, like I said, I just spoke to a group of women on Saturday, and one lady talked about this lady in one of the islands, saying that they thought she was going crazy. And again, so many of my clients and customers say the same thing. It's been suggested they go on antidepressant, and they're not depressed. And it's hormonal.
Yes, and that is such a big thing, Patrice. As we continue to share about this journey, especially when it comes to couples and relationships, because for me that's really a big thing. I started going through my own divorce, and I had an onset of perimenopause. I was almost induced, not surgically induced, but induced from the trauma. Even sometimes when women experience trauma in their life, and the trauma could come in the form of a loss of a job, a death in the family, just being overworked, the environment, the pandemic, relationship. Your boyfriend, cousin, sister left you yesterday, and your car broke down. You're in the road. You need gas. Like just an ongoing, a whole myriad of things. Women during this time can take it on, and in addition to taking it on with everything else you're dealing with physically. And let me tell you something. Just like Patrice was describing, it doesn't really matter what a female looks like. It's just that you start to look different from your normal self. Even like Patrice said, if you were someone paid attention to their skin all the time and you never had pimples, and all of a sudden, back to back, you just getting pimples. Like that could put you into a whole spin. And sometimes men look at it like what the big deal is. It's pimples. See, men, listen, if you really want to improve your relationship, you have to understand that women are not just complaining about A, B, and C. It's the whole gamut of all of the things that they're experiencing. And then sometimes, just like we said in the beginning of the show, women, if you want help, you have to be honest with your mate, honest with other sisters to get the information. Because if you're not honest, if you out shopping and the sweat draining around, you'll be like, no, I don't have menopause symptoms. You're going to be by yourself. You're going to be like the banana that separate itself from the bunch and get eaten. See, I can sit here and tell you, that is a hot flash, honey.
Yeah.
And I can tell you what you need to help, because there was a time, listen, I used to have about 10 to 15 hot flashes a day. But praise Jehovah. I may have one. As a matter of fact, I was talking about hot flashes. The last hot flash I had was, I think, 11 days ago. And from me, honey, I'm going to keep taking my Meno drops and my Meno cure. Because, honey, it working.
Yes.
Should you taking yours?
If I take it mine,
Okay.
I will stay now.
You've been skipping.
Yeah. Just the problem, and I because I
You've
went
been
on the last
skipping.
show. As long as you feel
You're
better,
feeling better, you just
and
skip it.
every time then when I start again,
Then you
I run back to my book.
yeah.
And then I'm consistent until okay, I feel better. No more hot flashes. And again, these are natural things that you can take. We take the Meno Care. We talked about it. The Meno Care is amazing. I shared last show how it had helped me. Shay gave me some, and she was calling me to make sure I was taking it every day. And after, I can say personally, it kicked in after 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
I can say that.
at 2 weeks, it was like, oh, no more hot flashes.
Right, nothing
No
funny.
more, nothing. It stopped. And I will say, only after getting better, and you feel yourself.
You kind of slip and slide a little bit. That's a human tendency. Yeah, once we start to feel better.
Yeah, so those things like the Meno Care and the Meno Drops, the bilingual ones, I spoke about that even on Saturday. Again, ladies and gentlemen, there's so many natural things that you can do, even with the skin. Like, I'm big on oils. We have the recapture oil. And then this lady also said to me, my skin is so dry and it gets itchy. And I was explaining to her, we have the recapture oil that helps replenish the collagen. It's anti-aging. It moisturizes the skin and replenishes the skin. There are so many things that you can do to help your body. Honestly, this is a difficult time for the body as well, physically. We talked, and I thought about this as Shay was talking. We talked about the physical things that women are also getting adjusted to. One of the things was bags under the eyes. Listen here, not being able to sleep and getting bags under the eye. That has been my personal reality, and having to adjust to the new Patrice when I look at myself as one of the after effects of this perimenopausal, because my sleep issues were really bad. I had one time where it was 6 weeks with 1 hour of sleep, then I went 3 days and without the sleep, I mean, completely. So it does have an effect. And the one thing, and I will always reiterate this, as Shay has said as always also, is that you can help yourself. What we are asking you, ladies, is that if this show has any value to you and you have a business, we're inviting you to advertise with us. We are promoting it among women. And if you have things that can help women during this time, from perimenopause, menopause to postmenopause, we talked about even cotton underwear. We talked about even the towels that you use. We talked about even the tissues. I mean, there is so much. We carry the natural menopause. We carry the natural 100% cotton pads. We are promoting that. So if you have a business, that natural soaps, all of these things, because these are the things that the women need at this time, and we want to make it more
accessible,
accessible, and bring it to the consciousness of women how to help yourself. So if you have a business, please contact us. The phone number is always scrolling across the screen, and we will make sure we will communicate with you with regards to that.
Patrice, I also wanted to share the other side of the story with the gentleman that called me, right? Because I had an opportunity to speak both to the husband and the wife. And one of the things the wife said, and I definitely can speak to this too, she said to me, Shay, well, what about them? You know, what they going through? You know, there is a clinical term for male menopause, which is known as andropause. Now, while their symptoms are slightly different, or their behaviors are slightly different from ours, this is real as well, and men go through it. Now, one of the things I can tell you is, what I found and discovered is a lot of the things that men experience is more from an ego point of view, and it's more or less where they're at in their life in terms of their professional life, right? And you got it, accepting and adjusting to the physical change. And if you find a man is not at the place where he would want to be professionally in his business life, he would have a tendency all of a sudden to want to go out and buy a Corvette, and start to wear clothes that is sometimes 3 or 4 years generation before their time, and they tend to do all of these physical things to make them feel a little bit more younger. And then you have the women looking at them, their wives, like, what are you into? He's never worn this type of thing. All of a sudden he want to wear red sneakers and these
airing in the air.
The airing in the air. Like all of a sudden, again, when you see that, especially if these are men that didn't normally do these things, man, outside of the clinical term, it's called midlife crisis. The men are experiencing it as well. So females, I also want to speak to you of that. Just how we are looking for their support, they also need your support. Because if you have a male, for instance, especially during this time, if let's say he had his own business, his own family business, and then all of a sudden, COVID came or whatever came, Dorian came, and now he has to go out and work for the man, quote unquote. His behavior, his attitude may change, and it has nothing to do with you. He is actually beating up himself. He's actually feeling like a failure. He's actually feeling like, oh my goodness, I failed my family. And that isn't something that we necessarily could relate to, but that is something that we could support our mate with. And so just like how we look for support from them, because we don't necessarily expect them to understand, we're just saying that support is reciprocal. So just how we expect the male to support us, we have to turn to support the male, because midlife crisis is real. So if your husband decides to take all the money of the savings account to go buy a sports car, listen, label that as midlife crisis. Or if he's in a marriage and all of a sudden he tells you he wants a divorce, and the relationship is going smooth.
And learning, and so learning how to handle these things. And also I want to also talk about the spiritual aspect to this, because as these things happen, we must remember that the Creator who created us has created these bodies. And when we come together, more than anything, let's learn how to come together and pray together and be with each other through it, because there are ones who have gone ahead of us going through this issue, and sometimes it's just a matter of coming together. And there's a saying, a couple that prays together, the family that prays together stays together, even through the midlife crisis. Because if you made it this far as husband and wife,
you might as well stay together. Because the grass is not greener on the other side. I just say it, it ain't greener. And the thing is, Patrice, I'm glad you brought in the spiritual aspect of it, because sometimes we're trying to understand, like, I don't really know what's wrong with my wife. Oh, I don't know, my husband's loose. But what they like to say, it's a terminology like they like to use, the Delilah spirit or something. Some kind of something. They pulling down the stronghold. Listen, men and women, you may not understand, right? You may not. But we just asking you to support your husband or your wife, because maybe it may be difficult for you to fully understand all of the stuff Patrice and I talk about. It's really just for the women to empower themselves on the journey. But if your mate don't understand, don't try them to get him to understand. Just allow him to support you, and vice versa. The best way he can. It's not going to look like how you want it to look like, but just make sure he's supporting you.
Feeling.
No. It's like you getting burned and you telling him, but he's saying, oh, okay, baby. Because he's getting burned.
He's not feeling your pain.
No.
He's not dealing with, he has no idea of what it is like. And this is what tender love is all about. Compassionate love, kind love, sweet love, agape love. It must come into play at this time, as you've been together all of these years. there must be some kind of cord that can keep you even through this change of life.
Yeah, and you know what? I like what you said. I want to end with this because a friend called me up the other day and she said, Shay, how do you keep going when you don't feel like going? And you know, that was easy for me to answer. You know, 10 years ago, I would have probably had to think long, you know, because, you know, we like to use the word feel, especially when it comes to love. I feel like I'm in love. Okay, I'm going to look straight in the camera. Y'all know as I take my glasses off, right? Listen, guys, this is not about feeling. This is strictly about the commitment to stay committed to a cause, to a relationship, and to a vow. It ain't got nothing to do with feelings, because some days you're going to feel like you want to chop your mate, and he had, and in hubba, right, and in hubba. So it's not about feeling, okay? It's about the commitment to the vow and the honor to God. That's what it's about. Because some days you will feel, yes, and you can, thank you, Patrice. Love,
it doesn't
always
last forever.
Wins.
Yeah, love, you can love each other through the process. And this is how we become stronger as a couple, as a family, and even as a community. Because when we learn how to, when you see it happening in the home, it's a display of what happens in the community. And then what happens in the community is what is displayed in the wider community, in the society. How we learn how to, through problems, through trials, we still stick it out with each other. We don't turn on each other. We don't start, oh, you've been doing this and been doing that.
Pointing fingers, that's what they call it.
It's so much to hear a husband.
Hold on, I'm having a hot flash. Wait, hold on. Go ahead, talk to her.
It blessed me so much to hear a husband not doubt his wife. That yes, he got an infection because he knew he was doing the right thing. And he didn't doubt that she was doing the right thing. But they decided, okay, let's see what's going on. That's what love is all about. That's love. And that's doing it together. That's going through this process together.
And even for the, think about it, Therese, for the women like us that are going through this journey, and we're unmarried, and we want to be married. So you know, even when you think about attracting a mate, it's important that you have these conversations with them. You let them know, listen, because this, you sure now, because I go into menopause. I'm just saying, because
and people say there's a saying that said the struggle is real.
The struggle is real.
Menopause is real.
This ain't no struggle.
One day you could be sitting down and it gets hot, and it's for real. Another day.
Can you imagine being on a date and all of a sudden you have a sweat and then he's looking at you and you say, hold on, pardon me, I'm having a hot flash.
Or you start having heart palpitations.
And you say, what's the matter? Hold on, baby. It ain't you. It's just, I'm excited to be here. I mean, this stuff is so real. I know, you know, of all the
what? He saw you yesterday and you're on dinner date and all of a sudden you've got these bumps on you and what's going on?
He saw you last week and then all of a sudden you look 15 pounds heavier and you're like, wait, hold on, where's Shay? What did you do?
This stuff is real. And so the more we embrace it, Shay and I are sitting here laughing, we're all laughing about it. Because you have to go through it, so you might as well embrace it, and you might as well learn about it and find the best way to deal with it, and then you laugh.
Laughter is one of the ways, listen, Patrice and I can tell you, one of my ebooks that's available on my new website, it's called The Funny Side of Menopause. That's gonna be available after Mother's Day. I just want to put that out there. Listen to me. When it comes to menopause, listen, if anyone's doing the laughing, let it be us. You know what I'm saying? Let it be us. This journey was, sweet this week, Patrice. It was good to have you here and celebrating your birthday. Y'all know we got eat cake, right? We got miniature cakes. We're not going to eat them on screen. You know, I would love to eat them on screen.
And share them with you. But you're menopausal or perimenopausal and you don't want to put on weight. So we'll do it for you.
We'll do it for you. Patrice and I.
I'm sure it's chocolate, right? With almonds, with nuts, and no chocolate sauce.
No. Sorry.
Okay.
That's the other birthday. That was the one. That was the one before the pandemic when we had extra flow. Again, you know, we're dealing with some real life crisis. And our producer, Zenobia, hitting it down and holding it down for us in the back. We want to thank you so much, Zenobia. Listen, guys, Patrice just mentioned, if you want a topic you want to discuss for our next show is the day after Mother's Day. It's on that second Monday in May. We start 6 p.m. sharp. Hit us up. We're on our Facebook. You can always hit us up on our Facebook page, Menopause the Dialogue. Make sure you go to our page, like, and also go to our YouTube channel, Menopause the Dialogue. Make sure you follow us there. And also don't forget to subscribe and share this dialogue after the show, please. We know there's some men and women out there can use this information, and of course, get a good laugh.
Yes, because it's real. Thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time, May 10th.
Yes.
6 p.m. sharp.
Yes.
God bless you. Thank you.